What is going on, everyone? Welcome to Driven Wild Outdoors Bronco Basecamp, like our third or fourth estimate. Estimated third time. Look, I'm in the building and construction business. Forgive me. I say estimate 100 times a day. Anyway, Gavin, how are you doing?
Good.
All right, we're joined by our friends on Instagram. So, well, I was going to do something weird and turn around. It'd just be strange. But anyway, so if you're on Instagram and you want to watch some of this on YouTube, head on over to YouTube. And if you're on YouTube, stay on YouTube. All right, so we're going to talk Bronco stuff tonight. Transmissions, maybe deliveries on hold, literally test drives on hold, from what I understand. I don't know that for certain. We're going to screen share some stuff. But there's also something that, I'm going to say I knew it. I didn't know it. None of us really know a whole lot in this business. We assume and we have sources that may be right. But I did have someone tell me about 2 months ago that it looked like, and the reason why I don't know, but the hard tops were going to become more of an issue for some reason. The reason for that was unknown, right? Production of hard tops. Not anything wrong with the hard tops being built, just the quantity of hard tops that could be supplied to keep up with the Bronco now, or the Bronco build. And I've been saying this, Gavin, for how many weeks now? I don't know if it's a production issue with the top or if it's the fact that the new Ranger's coming out. So Ford's building less of the current 23 Rangers. So there's more availability basically on the line at MAP, Michigan Assembly Plant, and they're able to build more Broncos. Have I not said that like a gazillion times? So we don't know if that's the case or if there's a separate top issue. My feeling is that they're starting to crank these things out into numbers that are stressing suppliers. That's just my humble opinion, because if we're keeping up, last year, obviously 21 was a weird year. The production started mid-year. It's a new build. It starts, even though it's mid-year, it started slow and then it started cranking up. 22 got a lot better, still some issues with getting certain parts and pieces. And then suddenly here we are in 23, and the Ranger builds are starting to drop because you have the 24 Ranger that's going to be going on the line, I think, at the end or the beginning of May. So essentially, I think right now you have more real estate. You have more line available to build more Broncos. So is that the case? Maybe someone could message me if you work there and you can give me the heads up. But I really think that that's the deal. I think they're just able to crank more Broncos out. Gavin, what is your take on it, my friend?
It's understandable.
Possibility?
Yeah, possibility. Understandable.
Jonathan, how are you? Thanks for joining us tonight. Dirk Connor, hello. Look forward to seeing you hopefully in April. I think we're going to be able to do that. I have no idea why I have that there. And Joshua, here we go. We are there. So hello, Joshua. So I don't know where everyone is tonight, the crowd, but I have to say this. I want to jump right over and share this screen because I think this is important. Gavin and I are going to try to share this a little bit better here. Andrea, what is going on, my friend? How are you? Let's head back over here real quick. Andrea, thanks so much. We need to connect really soon. I want to check out that awesome Bronco Raptor you have. I think, Gavin wants to drive it, but we'll see. But no, I really want to check that out. So let's connect real soon on that. And thank you so much for that super chat. We greatly appreciate you, Andrea. I say you help make all of this possible, and thank you so much. That is absolutely awesome. Bronco 78, good evening. How are you, Bronco 78? And there again, Andrea, you and Bronco 78 and everyone else that I don't know if they're going or not, look forward to seeing you, whether you're watching live or on replay, in Super Celebration East in Townsend, Tennessee. Good evening, Michael Cooper. What is happening? I hope everything is all well with you, and thanks for tuning in, by the way. Let's head over and get this thing going here. I just don't know what to say. So I saw a letter today. I did not get a chance to get it uploaded. It may be over on Bronco 6G, by the way. And for those of you who have a Bronco, certainly you've seen Bronco 6G. If you haven't, head over there. Really good, a good forum, a lot of good stuff in there. sometimes if you post the video, you get beat up in the videos a little bit, but that's fine. That's, that's the nature of the business. But Bronco 6G is a very informative site. So I highly recommend you check it out. Put it on your daily reading if you want, just like Ford Authority. Ford Authority's got some pretty awesome stuff. So let's head on over here and check this out. Stop delivery on some Broncos due to 10-speed auto transmission recall. Build dates 11/14/22 to 1/12/23. So limited in months, but of course a lot of units, right? How many Broncos are built at MAP on any given month? Is it 13,000, Gavin? You want to look that up? So how many on average? I think 118,000 Broncos were built, give or take. Hope that's the number last year. And of course, some months are better, right? Better than others. So the question becomes, well, I have no idea what this ad is. Jesus.
Try Vic Sinek.
Anyway, so here we go. You don't have any audio on that, do you? Okay. Just want to make sure it wasn't playing. So this is the 10R60. If you don't know, the automatic in the Bronco is the 10R60. So it looks like there's a bolt, not a problem with the transmission, but maybe a bolt left in it or an extra bolt during manufacturing of the transmission. So at least that's what I just scanned by. But if you look at the build dates from November to January, there's quite a few Broncos built in that line. And so if your Bronco is affected, obviously if you have it, you're going to get the recall. If it's being delivered, if it's sat on, dirt mountain and it's waiting on something, and now it's finally, even though it was built in November, it's finally showing up. The way I read things, now I don't know if this is the way it actually is, but the way the first take is that you can't even test drive it, that it has to sit there until the whatever is done is done. So that's unfortunate.
This is in June 2022. That's the only thing that's popping up. 8,681 sold and 12,909 produced, and in the month of June. So,
well, look at this here. This is F-150, Mustang, Aviator, Explorer, and Bronco. So it affects more than just your Bronco. I mean, it's
wait, that's a Ford Aviator? What's that?
Huh?
What's an Aviator?
The Lincoln, sort of like a Lincoln version of the Explorer. Yeah, check it out. It's pretty sweet. A little higher trim there. So this is going to affect, we talk Broncos here on this channel, Bronco Basecamp, of course, but this is going to affect quite a bit of stuff. So if you want to read the article in detail, head over to Bronco 6G and check that out. That would be pretty cool if you did that. It would. My dealer set me up. Oh, good Lord, another dealer story. I'm sorry if you have bad issues. Let's see, new hard top shortage. I don't want to get into that. I haven't read that, so I don't want to post it yet. But basically it's like this: is certain things in manufacturing happens, but at some point you want to. The amount of recalls are, I don't know, it goes from a first year build to a second year build, and it just starts stacking. I know it's a lot harder than it seems. I get it. And anything in processing, if you've ever watched manufacturing, like if you want to see a cool video, I don't know whose video it is, but if you search the Predator niche line, so at Romeo Engine Plant, if I could talk, which I think they just shut down. There was a video of hand building Predator engines, right? So the Shelby GT500, now the Raptor R, the engines were all hand built, and Romeo. If you watch it, how they're built, there's such a control. There's two people, one engine builder, but there was two people always assisting, knocking the pistons in, the rods, things like that. And what happened is there's a metal tray, and in that tray would be all of the parts that were needed, the bolts, everything. So here's what happens. If you're short a bolt, where'd it go? If you had one left over, what'd you forget? So it's really, really easy to control that quality, right? But what happens is that when these things are mass produced and they're going down a line, one thing, just one small thing in that process of manufacturing can really cost you some stuff. And it looks like maybe there's one more. At least they've been able to apparently identify the start and the end of it. Don't know what happened, but welcome to manufacturing. It does happen. So it's one of those situations where you hate it, especially if you have a Bronco or an Aviator, Explorer, F-150, Mustang, and then dang it, you've got this issue. Now apparently what the problem is that this bolt is kind of flopping around. Who knows what all that background noise is? The bolt's kind of flopping around, and when you put the vehicle in park, that it says it's in park, but it might not engage the parking pin all the way, and so the vehicle could roll away or whatever. Gavin, how would you like that if that happened to you? If you put it in park and took off and like headed in the store and somebody yelled, "Hey, your vehicle," and you went chasing it down the parking lot, what would happen?
That wouldn't be so fun.
That wouldn't be so fun. So, this stuff does happen, man. I have to take my Bronco's still waiting on the front drive shaft. We took it in to get it done, the wrong one. They shipped the wrong one. So now we're waiting for it to go back. My F-250 is waiting on cameras. The camera's kind of smoked up a little bit. I didn't even have to take it in and ask for it. I got a letter in the mail where they told me they were going to recall it. So, anyway, waiting on that stuff. So there's a supply chain issue. There's chip issues. We still have that stuff. We talk about it all the time. And now this is a manufacturing issue. So it's like, just gotta, I don't know, gotta get it going there. What's going on, Gavin? What's in the comments here?
I'm just responding.
Yeah, just respond. So, and the thing the thing about it is that when you're mass producing anything, it takes one little thing to start to go wrong, and then there's thousands built, and then you figure it out. So it is a lot harder than it seems. It's not like us building a house and something goes wrong and you catch it and you fix it. I mean, these things are going and going. So, Gavin, how long do you think it takes to build a Bronco once the blending happens? There's actually another word they use in the manufacturing where the body meets the frame, but essentially that part, when the body meets the frame. What do you think?
How long it takes?
How long do you think is it a shift? Like 8 hours? Right? You see the chassis coming down one line and the bodies, and then it drops down. It's pretty much a shift after that, right? Not even a complete shift. I mean, if you look at if you did the math, you look how many Broncos they built last year.
I don't even think it's one shift.
No, I mean, what I'm saying is it doesn't take an entire shift to build one. I'm just saying it's moving at such a high speed.
Because, Henry Ford was pumping out Model Ts in like 2 minutes. Well, not 2 minutes.
Well, this is a little bit different process
Very
now.
short.
Right.
Well, yeah, I know. But
we're talking stamping. We're talking painting. That's happening on the body. Then the chassis, right, is being built. And then, once they merge together, I don't know how long it is. Is it 30 minutes? Is it 2 hours? I have no idea. There again, there's YouTube videos everywhere. There's a video showing some Broncos being built, and it kind of guesstimates the time on that. And I just can't remember what it was. But if you look at if you have an issue that holds a lineup, that's millions of dollars a day. That is really messing up the system, right? So anyway, this whole thing is just unfortunate. What do you think about the EVs? I want to know, everyone. This is Bronco Basecamp. But because one day there's going to be some type of electrified Bronco, either it's going to be hybrid or straight electric or whatever you want to call it. Are you looking forward to that or not? I'm still thinking that manufacturers are all in. That's it. They're all in on it. But you don't know the conversations that they had with the government. So you don't know, they're all in, by choice or not, but they're all in. But this EV thing, Johnny did a video over on his channel, Johnny's Car Care and Review, did a really good video, where he's like happy. He has a Lightning now. So he's happy with it. But even he's talking about, this process, and just go check out his video. It's very cool. Are we pushing it too much too fast? What's the rush, right? There's only so many, people that can dig up the precious metals in other countries. So they're digging just as fast as they can, you know. So like, what's the process for making these batteries, and how is the batteries changing? I know there's other material being made and things like that, but you know, I think the point being is that, like everything, evolution happens. You know, collectively, everybody puts their minds together and works toward a certain goal. I don't think we need an EV or a hybrid Bronco until the technology's ready. No one wants to go out in the middle of the woods in a lot of tree cover, and they're in the mud, and you're torquing the thing up, and suddenly you run out of the old the go-go volts. So so a hybrid obviously would get you out of there then, but if it's straight EV, what are you going to do? So it limits the overlanding aspect. It limits the daily type of wheeling you do. If you're in mud all day, if you're rock crawling all day, I mean, it's going to limit it. It's just like a range deal. If you're towing something, the range drops dramatically. So I'm not looking forward to it right now. I mean, it's a cool feature. If you want one, great, go get it. But if you get it and the cold is working on it and the range is not what you hoped, you're one of the pioneers in this process. So you got to love it, but not me, not yet. Anyway, and I just don't see how the work van aspect of this is going. Any manufacturer out there, I know how many miles are put on a service van in the Hampton Roads area on average a day. So take a July day, temperature's 95 degrees, ACs are breaking in Hampton Roads. There's 7 cities. You can stack, depending on how the calls are scheduled. It depends on the frequency and what cities. And it depends on tunnel traffic around here, because, it doesn't take, we can make it to Virginia Beach in 30 minutes, or we can make it to Virginia Beach in 3 hours. It depends on who decided to go through the tunnel sideways versus straightaways. But you can put 700-800 miles on a service van in Eastern Virginia in a extreme circumstance in a day. That's where you're traveling from Richmond to the oceanfront and back, and service calls in between. I'd say average is probably 300 miles a day, 300, 350. Now, if you're in the city, the proximity from point A to point B is a lot shorter. If you're in the rural areas, right, and you're out in God's country, out in the middle of out in the country, so to speak, where it takes an hour to get from one job to another, there lies the problem. So anyway, we'll see how it works out. I don't really know. I'm going off on this rant, but tonight is Bronco Basecamp. What is Bronco Basecamp? It's where we all kind of sit around the imaginary fire. And if Tim was a guest tonight, then we'd see he's got that really cool fire in the background. So we could have that anyway. We need to invite Tim back on sometime. But it's where we kind of sit around and talk Bronco stuff. So I am looking to pick up some fog lights. Hint, hint, someone I know that might be watching, for my Bronco, my 21 Bronco. I do want the mountains to metal Molly. I just call it a system in the back, the panels, the tray. I definitely have to get that, but right now we're going to have to pace ourselves. We can't do it all the time. Let's see. I think maybe over on Instagram right now, a lot of people are watching over there. If you just started following us, hello. We've got a lot of new people over on YouTube as well. If you're watching live or watching later, thank you, Gavin, and I really appreciate it. I'm getting ready to turn off Instagram. Gavin, what would you like to say to the good folks over here on Instagram? Anything?
Thanks for tuning in.
What?
Thanks for tuning in.
Thanks for tuning in. All right, we're out. All right, everyone. I got to go here, and we're going to finish on YouTube. See ya. All right, so that was kind of cool. Anyway, thanks for joining us here, by the way. We're just trying to let some of the people on Instagram that don't tune in regularly, and there's 6,000 over there, so we wanted to make sure that they had an opportunity to see us. And for all of the noises we have in the studio, I know if you watch someone's live stream, they have a light issue, audio issue, Gavin's banging on the chair. Eventually, we're going to have some gaming chairs in here, so Gavin can feel like he's doing the old the video stuff every day. But it'll be a lot quieter in there. So as this thing continues to grow, bear with us. And believe it or not, I'm going to be sharing with you guys. We have a something I've been working on for a while. You know my book, Driven, right? Right. Seen the book. See the scrolling at the bottom. If you want to pick up a copy of Driven, head over to drivengear.com. We do have a couple cool things coming online this week. We have the book that's been there. If you want to pick up a copy, please do. That helps support our channel as well. And I'd like to say it's a good read. Of course, I am biased. But we're starting over on my Dwayne Cotton YouTube page, YouTube channel, which I will put in the description on this later on, not right now. But we have our very first online training course that's getting ready to hit. And that is for people in this. Well, if you sell a product or a service, that is for your company. And that is so cool. We're going to be mentioning that here, but we're not going off on that because this is Bronco Basecamp, like we just talked about, sitting around talking about Broncos. Just excited to share that news. And I'll let you know when it goes live if you just want to check it out. Maybe, give me a head over, check it out, and let me know. But Driven, my book Driven, really helps. When you buy a copy, it helps support Gavin and I's channel and continues to do this fun stuff. So if you've picked up a copy, and a lot of people have, it seems, in the last couple months, thank you so much. We appreciate you. And let's get to the comments. Here we go. I'm gone in 60. Hello, everyone. What is going on? I'm looking for some new vehicles on your lot. I haven't seen the pictures this week. Of course, I haven't been on Instagram that much. Bronco 78 says, rumor has it the first Bronco EV and hybrid will be in 2030. Wow. I haven't not heard that rumor, but thank you, sir, for that. As far as infrastructure, we're not even close. Yeah, I get it. Exporting pollution, I guess at this point it's really what it is. But yeah, the infrastructure is not even close. You're absolutely right. There's a lot of places, believe it or not, that is super expensive to build in rural areas because the infrastructure that it takes, the infrastructure that it takes just to get power, say, to this very rural lot somewhere, it just costs a lot more. Or, that's a example, but some of the permits in rural areas cost more. When you take agricultural acreage and turn it to residential, then you pay a big tax chunk there. Where are you headed? Man, you're bailing like 2 minutes early. What is up?
All right, I'll stay for 2 minutes.
2 minutes, man. You're here till 9. That's in your contract. Your contract. I'm just kidding. Don't anybody go hate mail.
Hate mail. Send it to me for anything we say.
Yeah, send all that. Yeah. So Gavin made me do it.
Link my
How
email.
about that? Gavin made me do it.
Yeah, I'll link my email.
Well, now look, everyone says good night to you after you're like in the other end of the house. So why don't you say thank you to Mr.
Thank
Dirk
you,
Connor.
Dirk Connor. You too.
Yeah, Gavin's just a youngster. He's got to get his sleep, which means that he won't go downstairs and crank up the old iPad, will he?
Well, until 9:30.
I'm sure that's very annoying, banging on the table like I know I started it, but you didn't. Anyway, Gavin and I went on a Bronco cruise tonight, by the way. He had to have a picture for school, and he wanted to take it with the Bronco. So we went to one of the local parks tonight, and it was actually 74 degrees, I think it was.
It was very good. We had the top down.
Yeah, put the top down. And
1 minute.
Oh, yeah, we went by not my dealership, but we went by another dealership that's in the area here today. We saw an eruption gearing Ranger, and it was a Lariat.
Yep.
It was a Lariat. No special package other than Lariat package. I guess that is a special pack, but it wasn't, say, a Splash or anything else. We did see that someone's black Badlands came in. Mm-hmm. It was an order, had a retail. Well, I guess most of them are at this point. And we did see a non-Sasquatch. What was the color? Cactus gray?
Yeah.
Badlands. Soft top. On the lot for $68,000.
I know.
Now we paid 60-ish like right around 60 for Badlands, Marine Grade, 2.7 Sasquatch. So that's pretty good. All right, are you out?
Mm-hmm.
All right, man.
Good night, everyone.
See ya.
See you next week, or if you're ready before then. But
Yeah, we actually, Gavin and I have to upload a video that we did talking about the Bronco trim. I did promise it last week. A lot going on around here this week, so we did get a couple of videos out. We did the walk around. I don't know what you think about that. It's in our thumbnail. You can see the two Broncos, my Bronco and the Outer Banks Azure Gray. What do you think about the Azure Gray, and why is it called gray? I think it's a cool color. I will say that I would have picked that if that was Area 51. In other words, if we didn't have Area 51 and it started in 2021 as Azure Gray, I would have probably done the exact. I would have bought it. It is a cool color. I really do like the flat look of the Area 51 compared, even though I do typically like paint jobs with a lot of flake in it. I do like that kind of, I don't know, call it. It's more happening, obviously, brighter. But there's something about the Area 51 that was a pretty well thought out color. Now, I do know some people don't like it because it is it's out there, right? The Maverick, the Bronco has it all over the place. And then you see it on a few other vehicles. But I really think that the Azure Gray, when you compare the two, it is really close. I guess the only reason I would see why Ford would do a color that close is mainly you get one with a metal flake and one without. So it depends on the finish that you want. You want sort of that shiny. And I will say this about Azure Gray when you see it in person. When the sun is out, it is completely different, in my opinion. Completely different. A lot lighter blue, not gray. And you see that flake. And if you look at the flake close enough in my video, you'll see there's a little purple, pink, orange. I mean, it's just a really wild flake in that. But as soon as the sun went behind some clouds and started to set, the color just seemed to change right in front of you. It then looked more like Area 51. So I don't know what your take is if you've watched our walk around video of that Outer Banks. And that Outer Banks, who knows, maybe we'll get to do another video on it because the dealer's doing something kind of cool to it, which I think is interesting. So they're going to be adding some goods to it. They already added the fold down table in the back, but they're adding some really cool stuff to it. So maybe we at least can get a picture of it, and maybe if not a video. Probably will not last because very sharp Bronco. And I was interested in something talking about the tops. When you look at the tops in the Bronco, what about the pins? The pins making the noise over the driver's side, passenger side. I would have thought by now something would have changed on that. Now, if something has changed, it's not visual. You can't just see it. But I don't know. So are you going to have the clicking and the squeaking in these or no? I don't know. What would also be interesting to find out is if someone is getting that noise, that clicking noise, and if they add the SIBO brace like the Bronco Raptor has, does it get rid of that? So that would determine, because remember, these tops, when they make noise, it's only because there's slight movement, just like the wind noise on the front right. It's only when there's a temperature difference, like an extreme temperature difference outside. My Bronco sits in the garage, roughly 60 degrees. It goes outside in 30 degrees, and it seems within minutes you start to get that wind noise if it's windy. Road, the wind from driving the vehicle doesn't seem to do it. It has to also be windy outside. But we did notice when we turn a corner and hit a bump at the exact same time the other day that we got a little, and it wasn't windy outside. So I really believe it's just a tiny bit of movement. And if you tighten up the torsional, if you make the rigidity stronger, in other words, if you tighten it up like they did the Raptor, it might take that noise away altogether because it's not very loud. So something interesting on the tops. I just thought it was cool that this Bronco, the MIC top on this Bronco looked flawless. I did look for imperfections in the finish. I didn't see one. And the fit and finish of all the panels looked very good. So they've they're getting the tops. I think they're hitting their mark, and I really think they've really gotten that down. So now, it gets back to how fast can you build them, and I personally think that the Broncos will slow down in numbers when the 24 Ranger goes under production, obviously, because they're going to be building a lot. I think a lot of those. I think a lot of your Ranger buyers have held off for the new trim because it was announced so far in advance. If you could wait, if you didn't need a vehicle, you're just looking to upgrade or you like the way it looked, that's going to be something that you're going to buy here as soon as you can order one. And so that's right around the corner. I think unless things change, beginning of May, they're going to start building this 24 Ranger. And I think if that's the case, it should slow down the Broncos, which should then allow the top manufacturer to keep up. If that is the issue, I may be totally wrong on that. I've tried to get the right answer, but no one has volunteered to tell me. So what are you going to do? You're just going to sit around the imaginary Bronco campfire right here and just talk about this stuff. I will say this, though. I save my Bronco to drive for the weekends or going somewhere. I have a work vehicle that I use during the week. Obviously, I don't want to, stack the miles if I don't have to. But I really think, with me, I'm lucky enough to be able to just drive it whenever I want to, not because I have to go somewhere. And, it's something very cool whenever you have that vehicle stashed away and you just get to enjoy it. And I think with me, that's what's kept the Bronco experience so fresh and so new. And quite honestly, it's just exciting, no Bronco Raptor build date, thank goodness, because, the economy, I don't know if everyone sees, well, none of the stuff makes sense. The cost of eggs and chickens not laying eggs and stuff in the sky, and you stack it up. It's just weird, straight up weird. But as far as the numbers are concerned in the economy, we're dealing with a lot of we're dealing with a lot of uncertainty. So the housing market is still really strong, at least in our area. Houses hit the market. Maybe they've increased from hours to now weeks on the market. Big deal. The average, I think, up until the last few years was 90 days on the market. So consider a house sitting for 30 days. You would think, oh, we're falling off the cliff as far as the market. That's not even back to normal. It's not even it's a third of the way back to what would be considered average time on the market. So houses are still going, but there's also pent-up demand. You also have a situation where, now think about this, I'm getting back to vehicles and particularly Bronco. You have so many people that need a house, and we've underbuilt houses since 2009, 8, 9, when the financial crash. Why? Because banks aren't that friendly, let's face it. And speculation, like you don't want to speculate, if there's uncertainty in the market. So there's a lot of things out there. But what happens is you have a lot of people that need somewhere to live, right? And so prices are staying up, even though interest rates are up a little, but interest rates historically are still low. But think about this with cars. So for the last, 3 years, it's been hard to get a new vehicle without paying a huge, first of all, waiting. Second of all, paying a huge ADM on it. Unless you deal with a dealer like I'm blessed to deal with, is you go in, you pick out what you want, you order it, you confirm the price with them, which is MSRP when you order it, and you close the deal. And there's no shock, no surprises, no craziness, no whatever. But some dealers, were sticking the screws to everyone, whether it be sold it to someone else before the people could get there or stack money on top of the already verbal agreement they had. But then think about someone that just needed a vehicle. They weren't into the Bronco. They didn't need to order a Maverick. Or some type of Chevy or Dodge product. They just need a vehicle, right? The engine went out. There was an accident, whatever the case may be, or they just needed to upgrade. Maybe the family's growing. They need some type of SUV, a little bit bigger. Where are they buying vehicles? So now what's happening is that as supply increases and as interest rates have gone up, that's softened that ADM, if not done away with it altogether, which has put more units back on the lot, but still not where it was, and probably will never go back to where it was. I really believe that the car market, as long as the production is throttled, um, is going to it's going to stay. Prices are going to stay higher than what some people are thinking. They're going to fall through the floor. Now, certain vehicles are not going to hold the MSRP value. They are going to start giving incentives to buy that vehicle. That's why I think Ford said that, MSRP is going up, but the actual invoice or the settled deal out the door price is actually going to drop maybe 5%. Well, how is that? Well, the only way that can be is if there's incentive. So MSRP goes up, but there's an incentive put into place that then drops it back down. And of course, that incentive is easily removed versus MSRP is harder to increase. And so, if you set the MSRP up here, and now you can work with your coupons, right? If we do a coupon code on our e-commerce store, it's like that. I can type it in 10 minutes and have you a discount code. We can also remove it in the same length of time. So I think that some dealers are going to take certain models and they're going to go back to the incentive model. But then, like the Bronco, I don't see an incentive on a Bronco for a long time. I mean, it'll just come to the supply demand point when all the orders are filled. If they build more than they can sell, they're sitting on lots, or say sitting, that sounds bad, but being delivered for dealer inventory, then you'll see incentives. And then the incentives you would see is on some of the let's see, the base Big Ben, maybe Black Diamond, say without Sasquatch, or maybe all of the trims, but not Sasquatch, and maybe not Wild Track, definitely not Raptor. Or of course, any special edition, your Heritage, who knows, depends on how many they build, but Heritage Limited, there's no way, because they're only going to build 1966 two doors and 1966 four doors. So that's just going to be a rare vehicle to begin with. But I'm just saying, other than special editions or Raptor and probably Wild Track, incentives will show up. I'm not going to put it, I'm just saying they'll show up whenever supply and demand are met. And that's when it'll show up. Anyway, get back to this comment here. I'm gone in 60, said Azure Gray. Seems to me an upgrade from Area 51. I think Ford should have discontinued Area 51 and brought out a new color since Azure Gray is so close. Azure has tons of metallic in it and full sunlight. It does. I was able to see it in front of me, and you're absolutely right. I do agree with you. I like my area. My Area 51, but I do agree, because they're so close to each other, you would think that Area 51 would be dropped off. Is there a concern that you would lose a Bronco buyer over that? I guess it's possible, but I think that if you liked Area 51, you could definitely settle on Azure Gray. Or if you were borderline Area 51 but bought it, you might love Azure Gray. So it's probably a color you can go either way. One of the hardest decisions I ever had to make was deciding on Area 51 for my Bronco. I like Velocity Blue. I mean, I like them all. I mean, there's not one color I didn't like. Then it became, what did I like more? And I've never had a vehicle like Area 51, that color. I've had red, maroon, or Cabernet red, I think was the color years ago. I've had race red, had white, had black. So if you look at Rapid Red, I think it was, or the hot chili pepper, that was close to the Cabernet color that I had years ago. Race red, black, white, like I just said. I was trying to think, emerald green. I had an emerald green Mustang. And we have eruption green Bronco. But the Area 51 was so unique, and I think that's why I did it, because I haven't had another vehicle like it. Now, the more orange that I add, as far as like our branding from our channel on there, it really does change it quite a bit too. The more orange you add to Area 51, it really starts to pop. So we're going to add some more. Hopefully I can get it added before Supercell. Van City Adventure, hello. What is going on? What is going on? See, Gavin has left there. I appreciate everyone being in the comments tonight. So kind of a slow night here on the old Bronco Basecamp. Is there a live stream going somewhere tonight? I mean, it is Wednesday, so it's live stream, you know. And for those of you who tune in each week, look, there's something I want to say. Part of my this training thing I just told you about on this other channel, part of it is a huge part of it's mindset. And I don't want to go off on this tangent here, but I will say that, you know, we're not a crazy live stream. There's not a bunch of, you know, whatever going on. So the bottom line is, and I appreciate each and every one of you that want to watch Gavin and I when he's here for the 30 minutes and for the content that we bring. I am looking forward to having some more guests on in the near future. Honestly, I've been too busy to line it up, but I will say that I appreciate you being here and not having to see, you know, just chaos to be interested. So thank you for that. I've said it before. It's tempting. It's tempting to complain and scream and yell and whatever. It's just, you know, with Gavin and I, it's a different deal here, right? Maybe if I had some, you know, I don't know, crazy garage channel or something like that, you know, it'd be different. But Gavin and I are doing this because we like it. We're having fun. And of course, I want to see our subscribers go up and I want to see more views and I want to see all that. It's great. And I do want our channel to grow. But at the same time, you know, it's got to be organic. It's not going to be manufactured and it's not going to be Gavin and I doing something, you know. Now, when Gavin is 18, I have a lot more adventures for him. Right. But if I was in a car doing donuts with him or something like right now, that wouldn't go well. That wouldn't look good at all. But maybe he can film from a safe distance and I'll do the donuts in the Bronco or whatever. So, but we're going to start doing some fun stuff, hopefully this summer and just try to get going a little bit. And some of the adventures, you know, being outside, when you're talking about mindset, getting your worldview, your view of the world and which determines, like I said, if you're miserable, you're happy. It begins here. It truly does. It's not everywhere else. It's now the TV is a programming device. That's why this YouTube channel, you can watch this now, or you can exit and go somewhere else and hopefully you keep watching. TV is a little bit different. You can switch the channel, right? But when you go home every day, if you watch the news, it's the drip. It's the drip. It's the constant. And you watch the TV and the actor's telling you to, you know, don't buy. You can't say it too. That's a weird thing. You can't say the G word, but they use it in a movie. It's like, you know, you're conflicted. And so when Gavin and I are able to go off the road, we go walking in the woods, we go fishing, we take the Bronco out in the country or whatever. I got to tell you, man, it centers you. And the last thing I'm going to do is, you know, relax and have fun and then start screaming and yelling in the middle, doing something crazy. So anyway, getting back to that, I do appreciate it. Mindset's where it all begins. That's where happiness begins. And we appreciate it. So let's see, where are we doing here? I'm getting notified all over the place over here on Instagram. If you haven't followed us, by the way, we've made it all the way over the 6,000 follower mark on Instagram. I think that's pretty cool. And for every one of you watching here on YouTube, thank you so much. I think we're over like 3,800 now. And so that's very cool. We do appreciate it. All right. Bronco Dude said, no need to wait until he's 18 until heaven's. No. We have fun now, but Bronco Dude said 16-year-old drag racers. Yeah. It's different. When you're, you know, in organized sports, helmet gear and stuff like that. If I took Gavin off the road and we were doing donuts and stuff like that, and he was in the car, somebody would lose their religion and I'd be in all kinds of stuff. But no, whenever it's a sport, you know, it's considered different. I don't know. Who knows? Whatever. But no, I appreciate you saying that. And I understand where you're coming from. But let me tell you, we don't have to do that to have fun. This magnet fishing thing, which the video didn't get a lot of views, so we're not going to post any more here. But Gavin has a YouTube channel, and we're going to start posting those over there. Magnet fishing is addicting. I'll tell you, you want to talk about the ultimate treasure hunt. There's something about throwing this magnet in the water and filling a little extra weight. The anticipation of what you're going to get is so cool. Now, the really cool thing is we found somewhere last year in Luray, Virginia, that you can, you need a small off-road vehicle. The Bronco is perfect. A small truck or you could walk it or ride a bike, I guess, and you could ride around the mud holes. But there's a place to go underneath an old train trestle there, and we went fishing there last year. Well, we're going to head back this year. Now, this is the place we went camping, and we should have did the video of it in the middle of the night. Gavin just knew there was like raptors or something out in the woods. There's these some unusual sounding creatures in Luray, Virginia. Let me tell you that. Let me just say that. And we were down in a valley, no communication, right on a river. And I have to tell you, it was probably the best time that I've ever had. It got really, really quiet. And then, man, the woods came alive at night, and you started hearing all that. And look, I'm not a camper. I don't go camping from way back. I did it a couple of times when I was a kid, and that's it. That was my first legit camping trip, and it was somewhere you could get to in the Bronco. Number one, that was cool. Number two, it was next to a river, and number three, it's not overrun, and it was real quiet out there, so it was pretty fun. And so we definitely enjoyed it. And anyway, but let's see, what time are we? What time are we doing? We're at 9:21 here. What do you want to talk about? What's the comments? What has everyone just like either ready to just, go off, or about, do you have a recall in your Bronco, or, what, anything, any of the small stuff like that? Or are you looking forward to a trip? Are you looking forward to doing something cool in a Bronco, maybe taking it in the mud for the first time? Or if you have another vehicle, it doesn't have to be a Bronco. I think for us, Super Celebration East this year is going to be cool because we are mixing some other stuff into it. I mentioned the service training company. I can't say the name yet because, we have to get some last minute stuff in order. But I'm actually going to make an appearance for that at a place in Tennessee. So we're going to it's a business week. Like I say, we're going to do that and then hit Townsend after that. It's going to be fun. So definitely look forward to it. But other than that, that's all I've got tonight. I'm here to answer your questions if you have any questions. If not, we're just going to rock and roll over here. Jason Baggett said, would love you. Would love to have you all at Bronco Bash in Somerville on June 2nd and 3rd. Yeah, so I have heard, I think Dave was mentioning something about that, either offline or online or whatever. Someone, I think it was Dave mentioned that to me. Anyway, I'd love to go. I mean, let me look into it. I'm assuming it's online. There's a website to go to, Facebook page or something like that. We can check it out. Yeah, and of course, that would be 2 trips there. Now, June, we do Carlisle every year, and I can't remember when Carlisle is. I guess I could look it up on my phone. So let me go ahead and do that while we're talking. Sorry, I don't have a co-host to amuse you when I'm doing this, but we're going to work on this together. So let's see. Carlisle Ford National. Somebody else has probably looked at it. I'm not looking at the comments yet. If you've looked it up for me, I appreciate it. Okay, there's Jason said, oh, pretty good. There is BroncoBashTN.com and Facebook. I'm going to look into that. That would be cool to do that. I would love to do that, actually. All right, Carlisle Ford Nationals, if the date ever pops up here. Oh, wait a minute, there it was. 106 days away, June 2nd through the 4th. Gosh darn it. Everything's always the same weekend. Okay, so how do we do this? Second, see, this is the 2nd through the 4th. So 3rd and 4th would be Saturday, Sunday. And this is June 2nd. There might be a way to do both. Maybe we're just on the road for a few days, and that might totally be possible. I'll have to see. And, maybe we'll skip Ford Nationals and do that one. I don't know. We'll see. But I like going up to Carlisle because there's a lot of people we don't normally get to see from the far north that makes it to Carlisle, but might not make that trip a little further south to Tennessee. So it's pretty cool. Bronco 78 said, I'm excited for Supercell. Just hope we can get my trans fixed before then. Oh, wow. I didn't know you had an issue on that. Sorry to hear that, Bronco 78. Let's see here. Bronco 78 said, I went and talked to Well Sorted Auto the other day, and he has 2 Godzilla swaps and 2. Yeah, funny thing is, I'll message you something on Facebook on that Bronco 78, by the way. Watch out for that maybe a little bit later. Okay, Jason said Friday and Saturday, a good deal. So maybe this year we could do Carlisle on Friday and then drive all the way. It's not going to work. Shoot, how do we do that? I need a private jet and we got 2 Broncos. Anyway, I'll figure it out. We'll go from there. Ryan said, my Eruption Green Everglades is scheduled for March 1st. Be 1 year and 3 months from ordering. Wow. So Ryan, congratulations on that. That is cool. Not bad compared to some. Some people are still waiting and they were early, if not like day one. So, but a year and 3 months. But think about that. That Everglades is so cool. And I did see an Eruption Green, first one on the road in Richmond, Virginia. I have no idea if they lived there, if they were they were on 95, so they could have been traveling. And it is so, so cool. The Desert Sand, discontinued, of course, and the Eruption Green are 2 really cool colors on the Everglades. So I think you're really going to like it. I know our Eruption Green Badlands is, when you wash it and the sun hits it, it is absolutely a very cool color. It's got that bronze hue to it. So depending on the light that you're in, it's very outdoorsy. We've been trying to get Bass Pro Shops to do some stuff with us. We're like, hey, it looks like a fishing lure. Like if we put a little red on there and a little yellow on there, man, we're good to go. So definitely see what's Bronco 78 said, depending on what else you might have to add, swap costs around 50,000. Oof. Or depending on what they run into. Yeah, 50 grand. That's a big old hard pill to swallow right there. I know it's a lot of work and there's a lot of one-off stuff, until there's so many built, right? I mean, if you put a V8 in a 6-gen Bronco, it's going to be a lot of one-off stuff. But a Coyote swap in a 2016 Mustang is another story. I'm pretty sure the mounts are there, the headers are ready, a lot of the adapters, connectors, parts and pieces, because I have seen quite a few of those being put together. I have not seen one in person. I've just seen a lot of them online being put together. So now, I don't know if you saw an article, someone is having issues with the Godzilla camshaft and the lifters delaminating. I don't know if it's an isolated event. I don't know if someone just ran the crap out of the engine and they said they didn't. But there was a video on YouTube where somebody was talking about it. And they were showing the scoring marks. It looked like an oiling issue. But that's like 1 or 2 out of thousands and thousands. So, yeah, who knows? I mean, somebody might have, as far as you know, they changed the oil themselves and forgot to put oil in it for a few minutes and then figured it out. And then, so you never know. Bronco 78 said, again, there is also a Bronco event in Pigeon Forge, Tennessee this year that will run into the big event over. So I think that is the one that is a direct conflict with Woodward Dream Cruise. So now on that one, we think a plane's going to be involved on that one if we do both. If we drive to Tennessee, we're going to have to head up to Detroit for a day and then come back. The only way that's possible is to, catch air. So Ford is supposed to be releasing more bolt-in parts for the Godzilla swap, like everything else they're talking. Yeah, I gotcha. Yeah, and Ford Performance, I'm sure they've got their hands full with that. The idea, if you think about something, we thought when Ford went to the modular design mod motor, overhead cam, double overhead cam engine, you kind of thought maybe that the overhead valve engine was done with. Like that technology was done. It was so old, and but now you look at it, and here we are again. We have this new version of an old design, and I think it's cool. I'm glad they did it. Two reasons I'm glad they did it. It decreases the width of the overall engine. So it'll fit, say, in that 67, 68, 69 Mustang, all the way up to a 73, relatively easy. I think there's a bit more work in a 64 and a half through 66, but I haven't seen a video of it going in there. Well, I did see a 66 with a Godzilla in it, but it had a completely different front suspension. They did away with the shock towers, and they went with the sort of the rack and pinion deal, which totally got rid of the need and got rid of the shock towers. And of course, they frame connectors. It was sort of just a subframe in the front. So I haven't seen anyone try to wedge one in. Now, my black Mustang, the one that's behind me here, it had when I first got the car in 1987, it had a 302 block with 351 Windsor heads. And that car was strong. It was fast. It was loud, but it had some geometry stuff going on. It had screw-in studs, and it would always wear the rocker would wear the stud on a groove in it. So you couldn't really go by mileage in the car, but you could say after so many and it was a solid lifter cam. So the valve train in this thing just beat itself up. You'd have to change the studs on. It was the same, 3 or 4 cylinders that they would wear. Basically what happened was the press-in studs were taken out, and whoever drilled it in for the screw-in studs didn't get it exactly straight. So the geometry was wrong. The rocker arm was, doing its fulcrum, its pivot, and it was wearing on one side. My point of getting to that is that overhead valve stuff is so popular, so much out there. But there are some things about it. There's a lot more moving parts versus overhead cam. I mentioned it last week. I do like the overhead cam design for the fact that you have hydraulic lash adjusters. You have the finger followers, which ride under the lobe and press down onto press the valve in. So you eliminate the tall push rod sitting on top of the camshaft and the lifter. So you have the push rod, the lifter, and But the Godzilla engine, I've seen them wind these things up on dynos that not only do they just sound great, but they're putting some RPMs on these things, and it doesn't appear to be any valve floating or anything like that. Some of the issues that you would have some of the old school engines, I don't care if it's GM, Ford, Dodge, whoever, they figure some stuff out with it. So I'd love to see one torn down and be able to just like look inside and see what they've done to it. So pretty interesting on that. Let's see. Oats. Here we go. Bronco 78 said, Oats, that is the Bronco that will have your breakfast waiting. Yeah. Ryan, I'm sorry. I'm going back up the other way. No, the Oats has been quiet. I wouldn't think electric, because when you look at the VIN registration, they said it was a 2-door. I find it very unlikely that there's enough room for batteries. Also find it, the more I thought about this, I found it harder to believe it would be a hybrid. And the reason being is because with a hybrid, you have that extra distance needed. So between the back of the engine, you have the transmission, the electric motor, and then the drive shaft. I think if any of that was going to be done, I personally think it would be on a 4-door where you have the longer wheelbase. I don't know if they would try to cram it in there, even though could they do it? I guess they can do just about anything they want to do. I just think, I don't know, but a performance 2-door Bronco for the road only is kind of I don't know, maybe you think of Bronco's off-road vehicle, right? So I have no idea. I don't know. I thought we had it figured out. I was grocery shopping with my wife one day, and I'm looking at a Quaker Oats container there, and I'm, imagining what, like, oats, OAT, over any, and then I'm thinking Hall & Oates, and I'm thinking, okay, well, Shelby Hall and her, her family lineage with the Broncos or something. Oh God! And Becky's like, "Look, we got to go. Leave it alone." I was like, "Okay." And that was probably the last time I put some serious thought into it, but I was really trying to figure it out. However, I am a no-go on that one. If it's just, it could just be like another two-door option for the street. I have no idea. But if they made a hot rod version of it for the street, wouldn't that be cool? But that would definitely have a 3.0 in it, and going. Let's see, doing some burnouts. But Jason, let's see. Let me know if I can. Yeah, Jason, thank you for mentioning that. By the way, I did see your comment here. Sorry, I'm backtracking a little bit. Thank you for that. Maybe we'll try to do Tennessee again. There's one thing I will say. I love it up north too, but Tennessee is just anywhere. Tennessee, the mountains of North Carolina, Virginia, Tennessee. Even though I've been through South Carolina through the mountains, but not really visited there much. I would say that everywhere from Virginia south, anywhere in the mountains, whether you're in the foothills or at the actual Shenandoah area, the Blue Ridge, I should say, I just I love it. So maybe we'll do it this year. Maybe we'll do something a little bit different. So if we can't do both, maybe we'll pick Tennessee again. It'll be something new, right? And I think, well, obviously there'll be more Broncos there because it's a Bronco event versus Super Celebration. Or excuse me, Carlisle Ford Nationals. There's just a ton of Mustangs up there, which is cool too, because we get to see some stuff up there. And I would love to take my black car up there because I keep joking that we have this engine running so good now. I say me and my wrenches, me. I have the thing running so good now, and I'm so proud of it. I just want to put it on a dyno. It'll probably explode, because it's making more horsepower than it's ever made. It's also an 18-year-old 347. So at some point, the age of it and the power, because you're able to tweak things, you're able to get with our valve geometry that was wrong for the first 16 years of its life. It really woke it up. So we'll see. Put on a chassis dyno and let it rip. And to do that, I'd like to do it in front of a crowd, and that would be Carlisle. So I don't know. We'll figure it out. I promise you, I am not too scattered brain, but a little bit. Dirk Connor said, I am looking forward to driving the Bronco to Supercell first time this year. And I can't wait to see it too. The Everglades, pretty cool to see how many are there. I think I've mentioned it for those of you with Everglades, right? And you hear there's not a big take rate, and you hear they're not that popular or whatever. I don't really know what the actual numbers are, but I will tell you this. When we're uploading a video to YouTube, we put in keywords, tags, right? Words that help a video to be pushed out to people because they search for something. So they're called keywords, and some people call them hashtags, but they're key words, not terms. There's a number in my software next to the word. I will say this: Everglades, the highest ranking Bronco is a Eruption Green Everglades. The second one is Desert Sand Everglades, and the third is simply Everglades Bronco. So it's Everglades Bronco, Eruption Green Everglades Bronco, Desert Sand Everglades Bronco, and you know what I mean. So, and I think Heritage Limited is getting up there, but the Everglades ranks some of the highest. Now I know some people argue that's not exactly how it's done. vidIQ says it is, and they're the ones I get the software from. So I'm going to believe them because I've heard opinions out there, but they're telling me in their software. So what does that mean? That means it's one of the most searched Bronco names out there. Pretty cool, right? So what's the take rate? How many people have actually bought them? I have no idea. I haven't seen the math. I haven't seen the numbers. I wish Ford would release that. And if they have, I haven't seen it, but I will say that the Everglades is a very popular search term, Everglades Bronco on YouTube. Bronco 78 said, I have seen more talk about Everglades in the last month or so, people getting theirs there. And there again, I think Bronco Dude said, I'll have my Everglades at Woodward. Man, I got to get up there somehow. I've got to do both. Camping North Georgia, hit some forest. Yeah. So Bronco 78. You'd mentioned last week we need to catch up and do something like that. I agree. Before it gets too hot, I mean, I don't care. It can be August, I guess, but maybe right after Supercell, we'll talk about Supercell. Let's try to arrange something and do it because Gavin and I need to hit the road and do something like that. Bronco Dude said, I truly believe the Oats is going to be a hybrid and will be made in the same line as the Maverick. Yeah, see, so the Maverick, the reason why I don't think it would be made there, I mean, good points, right? Who knows, right? We're all thinking about, but if you think about the line, the reason why the T6 chassis, well, the reason why the Ranger and the Bronco are built at MAP is because the same chassis. So a lot of the robotics, everything is set up, if you want to call them jigs, but the line itself, I guess, it's set up for that T6 platform. And the Maverick is if I'm not mistaken, it's like the Bronco Sport. I forget what platform it is, what number, but it's like a unibody, for lack of a better word. I don't know that it would be compatible. I don't think that the robotics would be. I don't know. I could be absolutely wrong. What I wish is somebody would message me on Instagram that knows, hint, hint, and tell me. But yeah, I don't know. I guess it'll be one of those things. Who knows? Maybe this year, maybe the Oats shows up at Woodward, or does it show up at some other event? I don't know if Ford's going to have from what I understand, Ford's not going to have a huge presence at Supercell this year. Of course, they will be there, but I don't think there's going to be anything groundbreaking. I think everything there is stuff that some of the different events, and it depends. If you think about a Everglades, wouldn't it have been cool to launch that down in Florida, right? When you see the B-roll, the film of it, and the video, it looks like they were in the Everglades. I'm assuming that's where they were. But we'll see whatever the Oats is when it gets released, if it's still going to happen. Who knows? We shall see. In the right place, and I don't get hot. Yeah. Okay. Bronco 78 said, in the right place, it don't get that hot. There are some really nice, cool pockets, and I'm assuming in the mountains, you get up there. I agree. If you remember last year, I think I told you when we were headed to Townsend, Tennessee, we passed this one area through the mountains between North Carolina and Tennessee, and there was literally ice still hanging on the side of a mountain. So, this was late morning, it was late morning at that point. I guess it had been cold the night before, but it was strange, man. It was, windows down and there was ice next to me. So yes, I agree that area would have some characteristics like that would make it feel good. Let's see. Do you think they will have a Heritage at Supercell? I think there will be a good chance of a Heritage being there. Will there be a Heritage Limited would be the question. So at Woodward, they had the two-door Heritage, the race red with white top, white wheel Heritage. They had, it looked like the same one or one just like it at Overlanding East in, Virginia, when I almost froze to death last fall. Likely that you would see that one show up again if I had to guess. So there would be the Raptor, the Heritage. They would have probably, I would assume, an Everglades and a Wild Track. And the Wild Track would have the roof stuff on it, the roof mounted tent or the roof racks with the tent. Probably, I would suspect that you'll see more stuff that Ford sells, for accessories for camping and overlanding. I think, there's a lot of stuff on that. Ford has a display that they travel around with and they put everything on that board. I think you're probably likely to see more actions display. Like last year at Overland East, they had it's a matter of fact, I think it was the same group of vehicles that was at Woodward. It was a Wild Track. No, it was different. The Wild Track up there was a different color. It was a Wild Track with a roof mounted tent, and it had the ladder, had a kayak on the other side. Really getting the feel for what that Bronco would feel like and look like with all of the gear attached to it. And it was pretty daggone sporty. jealous that I can't get the factory roof racks on my Badlands, but we will work it out. Bronco 78 said, would love to see, let's pull this up here, would love to see the robin's egg blue there. Have I seen that in person? No. So at Woodward, I knew that they had Yellowstone there, but it was down at another area that I didn't get to go to. I just saw the Race Red Heritage there. They had of course, the Yellowstone would have been the limited, but it was at another place. I have not seen in person the Robin's Egg Blue. I did see the Yellowstone on the Bronco Sport at Woodward, and I will say that yellow and that different in cyber orange, obviously it was just straight yellow and white. It's a really cool combination. As a matter of fact, the Race Red and white was cool. So I think either one of those would be, I mean, like real appealing. You know what I mean? And let's face it, these colors, they're going to add some colors next year. They have to. I mean, if you look at the Jeep lot down the street from the Jeep lot down the street from me, say that 100 times, it looks like a Skittles bag when they get a truck in, right? I mean, they mix the colors up too. Funny thing is about the Jeep dealership, at least down the road, I don't have any math or anything like that, but the black, white, and gray, either they get so many more of those or they sit longer, because the colors, that lot sort of gets white, black, and gray. And then suddenly there's a lot of color and it's white, black, and gray again. The yellow, the greens, the oranges, they go quick. I think it's time that we get a good orange, like straight up orange Bronco. Also think that if they did a really strong light green, something that some people, it would be one of those colors, where you hate it or you love it. I don't know if there'd be too many on the fence. They need some colors like that. And, but when you think about the Bronco and where they're built and the size of the plant, they're limited on painting how many different colors and things like that. So, but in 2023, I'm sure we can figure out something, paint some vehicles. But I'd love to see some, a lot of different colors out there. But I do agree, whoever said it earlier, I'm sorry, I can't give you credit for it. I can't remember. The dropping, I think it was Bronco 78 drop, or no, I'm gone at 60. Dropping the Area 51 to have the Azure Gray would probably be smart. So we shall see. Michael Cooper said, I saw the Robin Egg Blue on a Bronco Sport at my dealership. It looks awesome. Yeah, I can't. I'm trying to think, have I seen one? And no, I haven't. I've seen Race Red and the yellow. I have not seen it. So pictures of it, but pictures, let's face it. You see a Bronco in front of you in the sunlight, that's the real deal. Can't wait to see one. It's pretty cool. The colors though, I'm always I like blue and green. So it's kind of funny. We ended up with a blue and green Bronco. Even though, Area 51, people say, well, it's a gray, it's a blue. It's blue. It's straight up. Now, when it's dirty and it's cloudy, I don't know what color it is. But when it's clean and sunny, it's blue. Let's see. All right, well, look, everyone. What do y'all want to talk about tonight? Look, I'm just ready to keep going, but I do need to wrap it up here. It's getting late, 9:50 almost, 9:48. But if there's anything you want to talk about, any suggestions for guests, hit me up in the comments on this video or over on Instagram. I'd love to know, who do you want? You want to see more tech? You want to hear more tech? You want to just adventure, like people that's actually gone out and taken their Broncos in these crazy places? I haven't, like I said, whoever we bring on has to be, there's a few people I just can't have, right? But there's some people, and actually there is one YouTuber out there that is a Ford tech, and this dude is like, he's very knowledgeable. But what's cool about him is he speaks like we're just sitting around a garage talking about a car, right? You can tell he knows what he's talking about because he doesn't emphasize certain things that he's not really familiar with. So he's really cool. I'd love to have him. He's a good talker too, so he's able to communicate what he's thinking. I'm trying to get him on there, but he has a pretty large channel. So, he wouldn't be doing himself any favors to come on our channel, but he would definitely be doing our viewers, the viewers, a favor by having some of his opinions here. Now, you might like the guy, you might not like the guy. That's cool. welcome to, having guests, but it is something to consider. Question, Bronco 78 said, for years, manufacturers would not build these extreme off-road vehicles, but now they are. What do you think? What do you think that is because of demand? Okay, so I think, like everything else, there's this evolution. You remember the in the 70s, vehicles got smaller because of the gas chaos. Our buddy Jimmy done messed up the gas stuff. But anyway, we had all the gas crisis and had all that going on. Vehicles got smaller. And then vehicles started getting bigger again, and they started packing all the emission stuff. There's like nothing worse to work on than anything built in 1983, right? Because it has so much garbage on there to try to help with the emissions. And then what happened was the Bronco went away to make place for the Expedition, because the Bronco at that point was just full size. So then the Expedition became, well, let's see, we needed a minivan, but we didn't like the look of a minivan. So let's do something cooler and let's have an SUV. So now we have something that we can go outdoors with. And then if you look at, and I don't have a graph, that's a really good subject for a video, but I do know this from the business world that I'm in, that the outdoor space, camping, fishing, hunting, all that stuff, that economy, that segment of the economy has grown year after year after year. Camping and outdoors, I think, almost doubled since 2000. And well, you know why, people cooped up. But there's this need. Now, this is where it's going to get heavy. This goes back to the mindset. I'm pointing over here because this is the training. This is what happened to the old place on the other side of a room. That's training for the service course. Mindset, right? So a lot more, if you look around at social media, you listen to people talk. Now, hang in there with me. I have a point here. Please don't go anywhere. There are a lot of people that are becoming aware of stuff that they've been asleep through, watching on TV, listening to, and a lot more people are wanting to connect with nature, right? Because, and I know some people are like, oh my goodness, but think about it. When you're outside, if you go fishing, if you go hunting, if you travel, if you like hiking, there's nothing that clears the head like being outside. A lot of people are getting rid of, well, they're not getting rid of the TV, even though we're cutting cable real soon. But what's happening is that people are wanting, the average person now, I think, is the growing population is wanting to get away from TV, movies, music, the chaos, the computer, the pop-up videos, every single thing in your face. And like YouTube's great because, if you want to watch the show, you know where we're going to be every Wednesday night at 8:30. Or if you see one of our videos pop up and you're like, oh, I'm interested in the Zurgray Outer Banks walk around. So you watch that video. But then when you're done watching the video, you're off to doing whatever you were doing or watching whatever you're watching versus TV. It's going to be the same programs over and over. You can change the channel. Yes, we have a gazillion channels, but you know what I mean? It's sort of the same. It's a different label, different faces, same message. And I think a lot of people are getting out to nature. They're wanting to spend more time outside, getting rid of all the garbage. And I think that segment is growing. And how do you get there? Well, you get there in an off-road vehicle. Jeep's been popular because for years, I mean, there's a lot of Bronco owners now that were Jeep owners because Ford didn't have a off-road vehicle like they do now. And I think it's a changing mindset. People want to go outside and do more. And what's cooler than doing it in a Bronco, right? And if you have a Jeep, that's cool too. But I mean, let's just face it, the Bronco, like Ford brought back an icon, as we all agree, I think most of us would. But they also brought a vehicle back that fits in 2023. There's certain standards that you have grown accustomed to. If you want a vehicle that tracks straight down the road and rides very comfortable, then if you want a new vehicle, you want a 6th gen. Now, maybe you like 2nd gen Broncos, Bronco 78, for example, beautiful Bronco, like, real deal Bronco, right? 1st gen Bronco. Some people argue about the Bronco 2s and they get into the sports now. Look, I don't really care what you drive. If you drive a Bronco, I think it's cool. And look, you can argue all you want to about the Bronco Sport and say whatever you want to say. In that segment, it is the most rugged looking vehicle in that segment. So if you want the feeling and you want to be able to actually go off road, which you can in a Badlands, well, other ones too, but I know for a fact that I drugged the skid plates on a Badlands quite a distance, and it kept on getting it. And that poor Bronco ran like that all day long. But in that segment, that Bronco Sport is like, it fits, the look of it fits the environment. But when you get back to the new vehicles, the 6th gen 2-door, 4-door Bronco really fits the need. And if you think about the marketing, I've said this before, Ford spent who knows how much money in marketing of the Bronco. Whoever put together that launch video did a remarkable job. And it was the perfect time to launch a vehicle like that. And it was the worst time to launch a vehicle because it was perfect because you had people cooped up and wanted to get out. And oh my goodness, there's this vehicle and it looks like I wanted it to look, and it's cool. And they've got the horses running and they're outdoors and I want to be outdoors. And, they just tapped into the emotion. And that's what marketing is. It's the emotion of the buyer. The problem was then you had to build it. The same people sitting at home watching are the same people that work in the plants and build the parts and move the stuff around. And so hence that was the rough start. So I think that when everyone gives Ford just total, there again, we're not going to say it on the channel, but heck about it, that there is that reality in there, that they had this super successful launch of a really friggin' cool vehicle. I will say that. But then they had the issue of getting it built. To get back to the original question, the root of it, mindsets are changing. A lot of people would rather see the sunset than to see the 6 o'clock news. They'd rather see the sunrise than to, watch some tabloid show with some kind of a cultural train wreck happening or whatever, or somebody trends or whatever you want to call it. I don't know what you want to call it. I really believe that the outdoors in general, and that's why we went wheeling with some people with a Jeep, and we're like, we're fun banter back and forth, and well, I hope it runs to get here, and they, well, I hope yours stays on the road, haha. But we had an awesome day, like we had a great day that day. And so I think that when you get out anyway, it's done. Sorry, I probably lost about 200 people during that long rant, but that was just it. Let's see. Bronco 78 said, what was a Jeep Rubicon a few years ago? Maybe 50,000. Now they're selling for 110. Yeah, you're right. Inflation, right? ADM on top of that. The fact that manufacturers can kind of get away with it because people are still paying it. Yeah. There's a lot of talk about someone needs, and someone did. Ford did it with the Maverick. Think about the price point of the Maverick. You have sort of this hybrid between a car and a truck, a light duty truck. So you want the maneuverability, the driving of a car, but you want to be able to haul stuff like a truck. The Maverick, even better than the Santa Cruz, the Maverick fits that bill. So Ford did it with that. So, we'll see. Rumor has it the next Raptor might be an Expedition. You know what? I wouldn't doubt it, my friends. I wouldn't doubt it. Well, look, I'm out of here. We went a little long tonight. I appreciate each and every one of you being here. If you haven't already, I should have said this 100 times before tonight. Hit the thumbs up for me. That helps YouTube show this video and like videos on my channel to other people. If you haven't already, please subscribe. If you're watching on replay, please hit that subscribe button for me. We'd greatly appreciate it. And we look forward to being here next week as well. And we'll start getting some guests in here soon. I have this whole other thing that we're wrapping up. And if you want to support us, like I said, live or on replay, it doesn't matter. Scrolling at the bottom is drivenwildgear.com. My book, Driven, with my Mustang on it. I would be forever grateful if you pick up a copy. And I'll say in exchange, you get something really cool to read. And I think it might resonate with a lot of people. Dirk Connor, good night. I appreciate it. Look forward to seeing you. Well, in the chats before, but definitely in person at Super Celebration East. We're going to have a blast. You have to hang out with us. We're going to have some fun. And yeah, good night, everyone. We are done and we're out. Thank you for watching. We appreciate you. Bye.